Today you are going to learn how to turn this image into this using the photo manipulation techniques in Photoshop. Stay tuned. Hey, what's up? This is Harshvardhan and welcome to another superb tutorial. In today's episode, you are going to learn how to turn this image into something like this using the photo manipulation technique in Adobe Photoshop. Before we go any further, please do subscribe to this channel if you want to take your photography or Photoshop skills to our next level. And to subscribe, just click the big red button below this video and don't forget to click the bell icon as well. That way you'll not miss any new video from me. So having said that, let's get started. This image is overexposed, so we need to fix the exposure and contrast of this image a little bit. So we are going to do the basic adjustment to this image. So for that purpose, we'll press Ctrl J or Command J to create a duplicate copy of it, and then we'll press Ctrl Shift A or Command Shift A if you're using the Mac, and it will launch the camera raw filter, and then we'll press Auto, and let's bring down the exposure a little bit, something like this, and bring down the highlights as well. And you can see now we get to see it more clearly, the face. So let me just fit in view, and let's lower down the contrast and increase the clarity a little bit, increase the vibrance and saturation a little bit, and we'll press OK. And now you can see the difference. The exposure has been fixed. This highlights over here has also been fixed, and now we are going to make a selection. So we are going to extract this image. So I will press W on my keyboard to have the access to quick selection tool, or you can simply come over here and select this quick selection tool. Okay, now, and I'm going to paint it over the face, and it is going to quickly make a selection of the boy, and I can define the selection by zooming in, and if I spilled somehow somewhere, so I'll press Alt or Option and paint on that area. And what it is going to do, it is going to remove that selection from that area. And similarly, I can paint on the area where I want the selection. So let me just quickly do this and come back. And now I have extracted it from the background. So let me just take it to my background over which we want to place it. So we'll be placing him over here, and let me select the layer mask, and here I can see some lines. So let me just remove those lines, which is over here. So I'm using the brush tool with the black color. So I'm painting in with the black color, and let me right click and select convert to smart object, and that way we can scale it up. So I'll press Ctrl T Command T, and I'm going to scale it to something like this, not that much but little bit. And let me just zoom in and create a layer mask, but before that let me just rename it as boy so that I can keep on track. So I will click over here on this layer mask and using the brush tool, and this time I'm going to select this grass brushes, which is a default one, and I will go to the settings and uncheck this color dynamics, and now I'm going to paint in on the shoes. So that way it is going to create a grass like effect, and it would appear that he is actually over there. And let's add the shadow. So for that purpose we need to create a layer mask and a blank layer under it, and I'm going to call it shadow, and take the brush tool, and this time we are going to use the soft edge brush with 0 hardness, and make sure the opacity is 10%, and over here it should be the black color. And now Since you can see the light is coming from this side, so we have to place the light source on this side, so we are going to create the shadow on this side. So we will create the shadow of something like this, as you can see. So light is coming from behind. Or what we can do, let me just delete it and create a duplicate copy of this and bring it down, and right click and select convert to smart object and press Ctrl U or Command U and bring down the lightness, and that way it is going to be the black, and then press Ctrl T Command T and right click and select distort and click here and drag it on this side and press enter. Turn this layer on and press Ctrl T Command T, zoom in, right click and select distort, take it on this side and take this one this side, and if you want to change the direction you can drag them on this side, something like this. And all you have to do is just need to click on one of the corner and you can drag them, and we get this kind of a shadow. Shadow is very harsh, and let me just fix this area, this leg. So I will right click and select the distort once again and click and place it on this side and press enter. And what I am going to do, I will go to the filter, choose blur and choose the Gaussian blur, and I'm going to blur this out something like this and press OK and lower down its opacity. So you can lower down its opacity to anything you want. So in this case I think I will go for something like this and create a layer mask and use the brush tool, again soft edge brush with 10% opacity, and paint randomly so that from somewhere it's not that sharp and from somewhere it's very sharp. Okay, and this is the shadow, so we are going to call it shadow. All right, and now let's bring in the cloud. So I will browse the cloud image and place it over here and press Ctrl T Command T and resize it to fit the background to something like this, and let me just make this size little larger, something like this, and press enter. Okay, and let me bring it down on the background. So I'm going to call it clouds and zoom in, and we need to remove this area from here. So for that purpose we'll create a layer mask and using the brush tool with the black color and opacity around, let's say 40%, we are going to paint in over here, and that way it is going to remove the hard edge and we'll get this kind of a result. Okay, and we'll create another layer above it and we'll take the sample from this color, and with 20% opacity we are going to paint in. So what it is going to do, it is going to create this fog or smoke effect, and it is going to mix it with the background so that we don't see the horizon. And we'll pick a sample from here as well, and with smaller opacity, this time even lower opacity of 1%, we are going to paint in. So this is how we can create this kind of effect, and you can see. And if you want, you can just adjust the position of the sky. So if you want to drag them up a little bit, you can do that as well, so that we get to see some of the horizon, something like this. Okay, and let's add some smoke. So we'll go to the boy layer and create a layer and going to call it smoke, and using the brush tool, and this time I'm going to use the smoke brush. And if you don't know how to create the smoke brush, check out my channel. I have created an episode on this, and that would show you how you can create the smoke brush, okay, in Photoshop very easily. And with 10% opacity, with the white color, I am painting in. And let me increase the flow as well. I think, yes, now I can see it. And you can see we get to see this kind of a fork. All right, and now we need to place some light source over here, so we'll create another layer and we are going to call it light. And this time we'll choose the soft edge brush with 0 hardness, opacity to be 100%, and white color. So I'm going to paint in over here once and press Ctrl T, Command T, and I'm going to just spread it everywhere. And let's say reposition it to something like this and press enter, and that way we'll get this kind of a result. And now let's color grade it a little bit further. So for that purpose, first of all, let me add some vignette effect to this image. So I will go over here and choose the gradient, and this time I'm going to choose this black to transparent gradient. Let me see where it is. Okay, this one is fine, and press OK, and let it be linear, and let's scale it little bit, something like this, and drag it little bit down, something like this, and press OK. And now let me just place the car over here, and this is the car image which we are using, and let me just make it little larger of something like this. I think the proportion is right, and let me place it over here and bring this boy little bit on this side. So for that purpose, let me just select the boy and its shadow and click and drag it over here, something like this. And this is the car. Let me zoom in and let me remove this black area. So I will choose the quick selection tool again by pressing W, and I'm going to make a selection of this area. And you can see now this one is fine, and I'm going to create a layer mask, and let me press Control backspace to fill it with the white color, and press Control Shift D to again make a selection, and use the brush tool and press Control Shift I to invert the selection. And with the black color 100% opacity, I'm going to remove it from this area. Okay, and press Control D, and this is the result which we have got. And there is this dark area. Let me just remove that as well, and lower down the opacity to something like this. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a shadow over here so that it looks little bit more realistic. So let me select this one and remove it from here, and create a new shadow layer under it, and using the black color with 20% opacity, I'm going to paint in on this side. So it appears that the shadow is falling on this side. All right, something like this. And if you feel you have overdone it, you can lower down its opacity. And I think this one is fine. All right, and now let's color grade this image. So for that purpose, we'll come to the top and select the adjustment, color balance adjustment layer, and let's experiment or play with these sliders to get the look we want. Let me go to the shadows. So this time we are going to choose the shadow for this image, and let it be on the green side. Let's go to the highlights, add little bit cyan, magenta, and yellow little bit, and go to the adjustment, and this time select the photo filter and let's try different one. And I think this deep green is looking good, and let me press C to crop this image, and let me crop it little bit, and let me just crop it from here little bit, press enter, and let me create a merge copy of all the images. So we'll Control Shift E or Command Option Shift E, and then we'll go to the filter, choose the Nick collection and choose Color EFX Pro 4, and this is going to launch the Color EFX Pro 4. And we'll choose this cross processing filter which is over here, and let's try different presets. Let's see which one I like. I think I like this one, T04, or I think this one is also looking good. But this one is little dark. I think I will go for this one. Let's increase its strength and let's try to lower down the highlights a little bit and choose compare to see the result, and press add a filter, and this time let's add the lens vignette which is over here, and lower down the amount because we don't want that much of the darkness, and adjust the circle size and brightness we can adjust, and once it is done, press OK. Now let's adjust a little bit sky. As you can see, the sky or these clouds are very sharp at the moment, but we don't want them to be sharp because that would not look realistic. So for that purpose, we'll press Ctrl J, Command J to duplicate this layer and go to the filter, and we will choose the blur and choose the lens blur, and it is going to open up the lens blur option, and we can increase the radius to something like this where we don't see these clouds very sharp, and we'll press OK, and we'll get this kind of a result, and we'll press Alt or Option and click on this mask icon, and that way it is going to remove it entirely. And now we'll use the brush tool with the white color and 50% opacity, and let's choose the soft edge brush with 0 hardness, increase the size and paint on these clouds. So now these clouds would not be sharp and that would look realistic. Okay, if the clouds are too sharp, that would not look realistic. Okay, and now finally we'll do the sharpening. So for that purpose, we'll press Ctrl Alt Shift E again to create a merge copy, change its layer blend mode to linear light, and go to the filter, choose other and choose high pass, and choose the radius of 1.3 and press OK, and press Alt or Option, click on the mask icon to create the black mask. Use the brush tool with the white color and 50% opacity and start painting on the face or on the hairs so that they look a little bit sharper, and on the car as well. All right, and press Ctrl 0. And as you can see, I feel that this image is a little lighter and there is less saturation. So let me add the saturation. So I'll go to the adjustment, select a curves adjustment, and let me just resize it and click one point over here, drag it down, click one point over here and drag it up. And you can see it has boosted the colors and contrast in this image. Then go to the adjustment once again, select the vibrance and increase the vibrance and increase the saturation a little bit. Okay, and this is our final result, you can see. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, please hit the like button, consider sharing this video, and please do let me know what you think about today's episode. And if you have any question, you can leave that in the comment section below. And if you want $439 premium courses absolutely free, just go to my website harshvardhanart.com and just sign up to my newsletter. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you in the next episode.